Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something that, well, it sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? Learning English while you sleep.
Yeah. I mean, the idea that your brain just soaks up vocabulary while you're, completely out of it, it's definitely intriguing.
It really is. So our mission today for this deep dive is to figure out if sleep can actually be like a real tool for learning English. We're basing this on our source material, of course.
Exactly. And we're looking at an excerpt from a podcast called Learn English While You Sleep. So yeah, straight from a resource that's all about this method.
Perfect.
So we'll explore how the brain actually works during sleep spoiler. It's busy. We'll look at the science, what's really possible with sleep learning, and then really practically how you might actually set up a routine if you wanted to try it.
Okay, let's unpack that first part then. Because when you're asleep, you feel like everything's off right, but the brain, it's still going.
Oh, absolutely. Not off at all. While your body rests, your brain is working hard. It's doing essential tasks like clearing out waste chemicals that build up during the day,
Okay.
organizing memories, helping the body heal. It's definitely not passive.
Wow, so it's like a nighttime maintenance crew for the brain, tidying up.
That's a good way to put it. And sleep isn't just one thing, right? There are stages. Deep sleep is really interesting for this. That's when the brain seems to work on moving new information, stuff you learned during the day, into more permanent storage.
Like saving files.
Exactly like saving files, moving them to the long-term hard drive. The hippocampus is super important for that.
Got it. Deep sleep locks things in. But what about when you're just drifting off or, lightly sleeping? Can anything get through then?
Well, that's the interesting part for sleep learning. In light sleep, your brain isn't completely shut off from the outside world. It can still process simple sounds, simple messages. You're not consciously analyzing them, but
But the brain might still sort of catch them.
Yeah.
Simple words. Maybe.
that's the theory, yeah. Even relaxed, the brain might recognize familiar sounds, very basic words that are repeated. It's not like studying grammar rules, obviously.
Right.
But it suggests there's some potential for like passive listening. The brain's always working, like our source says, our real powerhouse.
Okay, so here it is, the million-dollar question. Is this sleep learning thing actually real? Can you honestly learn English, while you're catching some Z's?
Ah, yeah, that's what everyone wants to know. And looking at our source, the answer is, well, it's nuanced. It's not a simple yes or no. Remember that memory consolidation we talked about?
Logging in the day's learning.
Right. Sleep definitely helps strengthen what you learned when you were awake. The brain reinforces those connections. So in a way, it is processing your daytime learning.
So it's kind of like reviewing the lessons passively.
Sort of, yeah.
Right.
Strengthening pathways. But, and this is a big but, you have to manage expectations. You can't just, put on an advanced English audiobook and wake up fluent. That's just not how it works.
Okay, right. That always sounded a bit too magical.
It really does.
But our source did suggest some things might be easier to pick up this way. What kind of things are we talking about?
Okay, so primarily, vocabulary seems to be the most likely candidate. Hearing new words or simple phrases repeatedly while you're relaxed or asleep might help your brain store them for later recognition.
Ah, so like hearing a new word over and over helps it stick.
Potentially, yes. And second, maybe some improvement in listening skills. Your brain gets more used to the sounds, the rhythm of simple English.
Okay.
And third, pattern recognition. Calm, repetitive listening, like hearing a song over and over, might help you internalize the flow of the language a bit.
Interesting. So mostly words and sounds, not the complicated stuff like grammar.
Exactly. Vocabulary items are kind of discrete units. Grammar involves rules, connections, how things work together. That needs active, conscious thought. Much harder to do passively.
That makes sense. Repetition, relaxation, like a gentle nudge for your memory.
A gentle nudge is a good way to put it. But it's crucial to remember. Active learning speaking, really understanding grammar, having conversations that requires you to be awake and focused.
Right.
So think of sleep learning as a supplement, a way to maybe boost what you're already doing, strengthen vocabulary, get your ear tuned in a bit more.
Okay, so the main takeaway is not a magic bullet, but maybe a helpful extra tool, especially for words and listening.
Precisely. It supports your active learning. It doesn't replace it.
So if someone listening is thinking, okay, I want to try this, what are the actual steps? How do you set it up effectively?
Right, the practical side. Our source gives some good pointers here. First step, and it's critical. Prepare your audio material carefully.
What kind of audio works best?
Simple stuff that matches your level. Think basic vocabulary lists, maybe very short, slow conversations, or those relaxing podcasts with really clear, slow speech. The goal is you should be able to understand it easily, almost without thinking, even if you're half asleep.
So definitely no complex news reports or fast movie dialogues.
Definitely not. That would probably just be noise or even disrupt sleep. Our source actually suggests making your own recordings.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, record words or sentences you want to learn. Say them slowly, clearly. Using your own voice or a voice you find calming can be really effective. It's personalized.
That's a neat idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got your audio. What about the room, the setup?
Environment is key too. You need a space that's actually good for sleeping. Quiet, comfortable, dark. Minimize noise, minimize light.
Standard good sleep advice.
Exactly. Then for the audio playback, you could use sleep headphones. Our source mentions those specifically. They're designed to be comfy.
Right.
Or just a speaker, but keep the volume really low, like very low. You don't need to hear every word perfectly. It's more about the background presence.
Just enough for the brain to maybe pick up on it, but not enough to keep you awake.
Precisely. Low and subtle. Now, timing matters too.
When should you play it?
The suggestion is to start the audio just as you're settling down, getting ready to drift off. Maybe set a timer for, say, 30 minutes to an hour. That covers the period when you're relaxing and entering those later sleep stages.
And if it plays longer?
It just continues in the background. No harm done, usually. But the initial phase might be most receptive.
Okay. And I bet consistency is important here.
Hugely important. Our source really emphasizes this. Doing it once in a blue moon probably won't achieve much. It's the nightly repetition, that consistent exposure, even if it's subtle, that builds up over time. Progress will likely be slow, but steady.
Makes sense. Routine is often key in learning. Speaking of routines, our source mentioned integrating this into a relaxing bedtime ritual.
Yeah, that's a great point. Don't just suddenly blast English words at yourself. Maybe wind down with some calm English music first, or a simple English story read slowly. Then transition to your sleep learning audio. And, importantly, try to avoid screens, phones, tablets right before bed. The blue light messes with sleep.
Right. Standard sleep hygiene.
Exactly. So doing this helps your English and potentially improves your sleep quality. It's a win-win.
Definitely. Now, there was another interesting suggestion. Positive affirmations. In English.
Yes, little positive sentences in English. Things like, I am learning English every day, or I am getting better, my understanding is improving.
Yeah.
The idea is that hearing these encouraging messages as you fall asleep might, subtly boost your confidence, create a more positive feeling about learning. It's tapping into the subconscious a bit.
Like planting little seeds of, I can do this.
Kind of, yeah. And finally, the source says, track your progress. How do you even do that with something so passive? Well, you just pay attention during the day. Notice if you start recognizing words you've been listening to at night. Or maybe you feel like you're understanding spoken English just a tiny bit better. Even just making a mental note helps you see those small improvements and stay motivated.
It gives you proof that maybe something is happening, even if it's slow.
Exactly. That reinforcement is important.
Okay, so let's get specific about the content again. What are the absolute best types of audio our source recommends?
All right, top recommendations. Vocabulary lists are great, especially for beginners or intermediates. Common words, themes like food, family, travel. Repetition really helps here.
The simple lists, got it.
Simple conversations, too. Short dialogues, friendly tone, spoken slowly and clearly. This gives you context, like real everyday English, but simplified.
Makes sense. Natural, but easy.
Then, those positive English affirmations we just talked about, good for mindset.
Okay.
And finally, relaxing English podcasts. One specifically made for relaxation, maybe meditation guides in English or calming stories, maybe even just nature sounds with some gentle English narration. The key, always, is choosing stuff that's relaxing and easy to process passively. Nothing stressful or complex.
Right. Keep it chill. So on the flip side then, what should we absolutely not expect from sleep learning? We need those realistic expectations.
Super important, yes. Okay, number one, like we said, no overnight fluency. Language learning takes time, effort, practice. Sleep learning is just a potential helper, not a shortcut.
Right. No magic wands here.
None at all. Second, you're not going to learn complex grammar this way. Understanding verb tenses, sentence structure that needs active study when you're awake and thinking clearly.
So don't expect to wake up knowing the difference between past simple and present perfect just from listening.
Afraid not. Third, You absolutely cannot only use sleep learning. It has to be combined with active learning, reading, speaking, writing, watching things, practicing during the day. It's a supplement, remember?
An add-on, not the main course.
Exactly. And finally, it might not work the same for everyone. People's brains are different, sleep patterns differ. So if you try it and don't feel like you're making huge leaps, don't get discouraged. Consistency is still the most important factor over the long run. Small gains are still gains.
Okay, so just to recap the don'ts. No instant fluency, no complex grammar, don't rely on it alone, and results can vary.
That sums it up perfectly. Keep those in mind.
All right, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what are the final bits of advice or motivation from our source for people considering this?
Key themes are patience and consistency. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. Sleep learning is just one small tool in your kit. So be patient with yourself. Don't expect miracles overnight.
Be kind to your learning self.
Exactly. And be consistent. Try to do it every night or as regularly as you can, even if it's just for a little while. That regularity makes a difference.
Every little bit counts.
It really does. And always, always combine it with active practice. Use the English you're learning during the day. Speak it, read it, listen actively.
Make the passive learning connect to the active use.
Yes. And believe in that small progress. Celebrate the little wins, a new word you recognize, understanding a bit more of a conversation, it all adds up. And finally, just stay motivated. Learning a language is a journey. Believe you can do it, trust the process, and try to find enjoyment in it.
Okay, so the big picture seems to be, sleep learning isn't going to make you fluent by itself, not by a long shot. But using simple English audio while you sleep could be a genuinely useful supplement, especially for vocabulary, maybe getting your ear used to the sounds, as long as you pair it with real active study and keep your expectations realistic.
That's the heart of it. You're using that time when your brain is still, ticking over to potentially absorb just a little bit extra, strategically.
Well, that definitely gives us something interesting to think about, maybe even something to sleep on. Here's a final thought for you. How might consistently using this passive technique, even if its effects are subtle, actually change your long-term relationship with English? How could it subtly shift your learning journey over time? Something to drift off with tonight. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.